This is Willem Dafoe, and you're listening to Hollywood Babble-On, now live.
How's New York?
Good. It's beautiful today, actually.
Well, I saw.
Sprung.
Yeah, I saw your movie today. First of all, it just dawned on me as I.
How'd you like it?
Well, I did like it. It put me off my lunch a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of body parts, but I thought that you guys really handled it in a really psychological way that was not some slasher, just blood and gore type movie. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it a great deal. And I thought you were the perfect actor for that because there's something about you that really comes across as being intellectual and a deep thinker that I found really engaging in the movie.
Okay, good. I mean, for me, it's it's less about those body parts and more about a character study about a haunted man.
Well, I found that fascinating, but the body parts and the murders
are part of it.
What's that?
Are part of it. Part of it.
Yeah, no pun intended. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I think the way it was handled is almost in a beautiful way. It's the murderer, the serial killer is an artist, and I thought that it was really handled in an artistic way, and I thought in that aspect it made it quite unique in any kind of serial killer type movie that I've ever seen.
Good, unique is good. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, visually it's a real interesting film, and I think, just the journey that this character takes is interesting to me.
Now, as a cop, did you do any studying of serial killers before you jumped into the role?
No, just enough to kind of know what was legit and what was, invented. I mean, this is sort of a movie reality.
Right.
What's real about it is the human nature part of it. So I felt the need to do some research just to see basically what the job entails, what detectives do, what crime scenes are all about. But this isn't a procedural, this isn't like one of these procedural shows. So I just did some of that just to feel comfortable in that role, but the real meat of it was just mostly working with the script and thinking about who this guy was.
Do you enjoy working doing this type of a picture more than maybe something like a Spider-Man that is so large that this is more of a real story-based film? Is that more enjoyable for you, or it's just different?
There are different pleasures, but Spider-Man's very much a story-based film.
Mm-hmm.
I think, sometimes with smaller films, it's more, you're less protected and you got to roll up your sleeves, but there are also, there's a lot of pressure on you in big movies. So each time out it's different. I like to try to mix it up, not only to exercise different muscles, but I think you deal with different parts of yourselves when different things are required of you. Well, in this one, for example, I'm very much the central character, and I'm very much in every frame of the movie, so the reveal of who the character is much slower, and you have less pressure to know what the effect of what you're doing is, less pressure to know, deeply. You're less self-conscious, so it allows you sometimes to go deeper into the role. Now, having said that, I stand by Spider-Man. I like that movie a lot. It was a good experience to do.
Well, we have people here saying that in real life they think you can take Tobey Maguire any day of the week.
Hey, I'm not going to get into that.
But you shot Animorph in New York, and you live in New York?
Right. Most of the time, yeah. I mean, that's really my home, yeah.
Why do you just like...
Say that again?
Where are you from originally? Where were you raised?
I'm from the Midwest and pretty much from Wisconsin. And all my life, my adult life, I've lived in New York. But now I married an Italian girl, so some of the time I live in Rome, some of the time I live in New York.
Ah, that's nice. That's nice. But no L.A.
No, I like L.A. To work. I mean, usually when I'm out there, it's good news because I'm working on something,
Right.
and it's usually something I like to work. And I've got friends out there, and there are a lot of great things about LA. But for me personally, the walls close in on me a little bit. I mean, I like a city with, with a street culture. I like a city where you can walk around. I like a city that people are forced to be mix it up with each other.
A little interactive.
LA has a lot to offer. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one of the problems out here...
I don't know.
No, but it's okay. One of the problems out here is that when you talk to people, they always act like you're an insurance salesman or you want something from them. If it's a woman, you're trying to ask her out, or whatever. People are less interactive. When you're in New York, the cops will talk to you. They'll joke with you. Everybody rides the subway. You're in a bar together when everybody's snowed in. Everybody's in a bar having a drink. I just find it much more approachable. So you like it when taxi drivers are yelling at you down the street, "Hey, Willem."
I do. I mean, people are pretty sweet. It's pretty easy living in New York. It remains for me a very dynamic place and a place that's always changing. And what can I tell you? I feel I just feel comfortable in my skin here.
Yeah, well, you speaking of New York, I noticed now Playland, which is wasn't that out at? Looked like that's out at Coney Island.
Coney Island.
Yeah, I thought so.
Right.
That is one eerie building that is still there that you can walk by. I saw that. I said, "Is that Coney Island?" So that.
No, yeah, that was Coney Island. Those are like some things of New York that are, slowly going away because of development.
Right.
And I suppose for some people, progress. So that's one of the pleasures of shooting a movie like this, which, incidentally, kind of hangs in space. It's not real clear what year it is because it's a real movie reality. Stylistically, it feels like a real throwback. It almost feels like a 70s psychological thriller.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the setting in New York was good. It's just it was almost the city almost looks gray the way you shot it, and it really adds to the feel. Whereas I think if it was in any other city, it's just too wide open. The density there just really works well for that film.
Good.
Now, we've got Toph on the board saying that you were awesome in Boondock Saints.
Okay, good.
Well, I think
Glad you like that.
Well, the thing is when I look at your work, the thing that I admire is that you have a varied, you take a lot of varied roles. You've worked with European directors. Right. You're in something like Spider-Man, and then you're in a smaller movie that's really character-driven. And the thing that I'm always talking about that I don't understand is that was an article, I think, this weekend in the L.A. Times talking about Pacino and De Niro and where have their careers gone. And, as an artist, I just wonder at what point we all need money. We all want a nice place to live and travel and all the nice things that comes with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at a certain point, especially for some of these actors that, they're worth several $100 million. At what point do you say, you know what, I can produce my own films every year for the rest of my life and never affect how I live or my children's inheritance? And it just seems to me that your career, you have a great balance of art pieces with bigger films that you've been in. And what's your philosophy on that?
Oh, God. Films find you. No. I hope to agree with you, and if what you say is true, then that sounds good to me. Films find you, and you find films. No one absolutely chooses what they do. It's always a combination of things, but I do I find that when I finish one thing, I have an appetite for a different kind of thing.
Right.
And it's conditioned by, of course, what's available to me. But normally I've been pretty lucky to mix it up. And I think there's a natural balance. I mean, I think if you just work in a big arena, you learn to work a certain way. If you work in a small arena only, you learn to work a certain way. I think the key to really looking at material and seeing what's intrinsically, possible, or what's interesting about it, you have to be flexible. And the only way you can be flexible is sort of trick yourself into putting yourself in what feels like new situations all the time. And so anytime stuff feels overly familiar, a little part of you dies. So you've heard this, but I hear this sometimes with actors being interviewed, but it's really true that you have to scare yourself a little bit and each time out feel like, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. What is this?
Right.
And that's what I try to do. And I think if you do that, you're going to fall on your face more often, but I think internally your work is not going to get top-heavy. It's going to be balanced. I mean, it's going to be lots of things. It's going to be committed. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, I don't know. It doesn't feel. The thing that I'd hate to do is get into a lockstep.
Right.
Lockstep feel like I have to do a certain kind of thing in order to have a career or have to make money or have to be happy.
Well, I think a lot of actors say a lot of things, that they're supposed to say, and then they wind up on a TV series for 17 years, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that if that's what they want to do.
It's tough. It's tough. I think, it's always a combination of circumstance. There's so many elements. That's why I maybe it's easy to misunderstand when I say, no one truly ultimately makes their choices. Even the most powerful actors who seemingly have all the choices in the world, it's conditioned by all kinds of considerations. And for some actor, it may be about making money, and another actor, it may be about changing the direction of how they're perceived.
Right.
I think for everyone it's different. It's all a big game. There's some people that are more serious about how they play it. Some are more lively. Some are more loose. And what's nice is working in movies for many years, you see, it is like a game where characters are revealed. And when you know people through the years, sometimes you see what's revealed
right.
by their choices and how they deal with the stuff that they can't control.
Right. Well, I think people forget that that actors are people, and like all of us, some people have different issues in their life, and a drinking problem, or a wife that spends a lot of money, or whatever the case may be, that drives what the decisions they make, and sometimes they make bad choices, just like the rest of us. So we're being asked here by Whatever Productions. They want to know what your thoughts are on school shootings being blamed on violent movies and video games and music and such.
Wow, I don't know. That's pretty complicated. I'm not sure.
All right, well, got another one.
Come back.
We'll go. What you think about that? We're Fallen Angel wants to know what your opinion of Spider-Man 3 was, and wants to know how it was working on the other two films as well.
They're all very different, and it's colored by my involvement in them. The first one was the first one, and that's where I had a big involvement, and that was kind of the birth of the character,
right.
And the sort of the purest and the most innocent and the most, that's where it starts. So that's very close to me. And then from that, of course, my participation in the movie lessens so much. I don't have the same kind of stake or the same kind of interest, to tell you the truth. But still, I like Sam Raimi a lot, and I think the people around that group of movies is really good. So, I think they're good movies.
Well, what kind of input do they allow you as an actor? Because they have a certain vision. It's a major comic book character, and they have a certain vision in their head. So how much interpretation do they allow you as an actor?
Maybe they have a certain vision. Maybe they don't. In the case of Sam Raimi, he was very clear about how he wanted to do this, the style, but he's not doing it, so he really seems to have the philosophy that people have to participate to really create something that's vital. And he was great at really letting you roll up your sleeves and, participate and suggest things and work on the dialogue and work on lots of things. So they give you a pretty long leash, but of course they also have a gun to their head because it's a big budget movie,
right,
and they know they have to produce a certain kind of product. And when so much money is involved, they do have to look at it that way.
Well, I talked to Coppola once, and he was telling me that it's all in the casting, and that his philosophy is that you cast the person you think can do the job. And I'm counting on them to take an interpretation of what I've written or what has been written, and otherwise I wouldn't be putting them in that position anyway. And I give them guidance, and we talk about background and such, but I thought that was interesting.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that's true.
Now, Firebird 6 wants to know what it was like. Do you have anything on The English Patient that they enjoyed that film and your performance, and what was it like working in that film?
The English Patient was a lot of fun to make. I love the book. The book's very difficult to adapt. I think there are many stories in that in the book, in the material, and I think eventually they had to choose one story, and the story was basically the Ralph Fiennes, Kristen Scott Thomas story, and everything else sort of set up that. So I must say that some other stuff, particularly some of the relationship with Naveen Andrews, and also my character and Juliette Binoche's character, was lost. But that's what happens. That's what happens when you deal with a novel that's really dense. But a lot of people enjoyed it. I had a great time doing it. Anthony Minghella, who unfortunately passed away recently, was a great guy, and he was real inspirational to work with.
Well, now we got Toph wants to know.
To speak to it more, when I think about it, I don't like to talk so much about my movies or what I do, because what I think, you can talk about how you make stuff and how you do stuff, but what I think really doesn't matter. What matters, it matters to me, and I care very much what happens to what I do, but I don't want people's, I want them to react to what they see, not what I have to say. So I feel a little odd, talking about how the book was adapted when this woman or this guy enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it too.
Well, I think what people, I
want a little confession.
Yeah. I think what people enjoy hearing you talk about is, stories, making the films and different things that were personal to you. I think it's hard to, give an interpretation of a film or a book for people, because I get what you're saying. David Lynch always talks about, not wanting to. Everybody's got a different interpretation of what they saw. So why should I tell you what I meant when I wrote? Because it ruins it for a lot of people.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I really do. So shame on you. Yeah.
Now listen, Toph wants to know if you were ever approached to do a sequel to Boondock Saints. That it's been rumored, but that they don't know if you've been signed on or.
Well, Troy Duffy talked to me about it at one point some years ago, And I was very interested because I had a good time making Boondock Saints, and I know a lot of people like that movie. But at the time, it felt like that character that I did in the first one just wasn't finding his way into the story in a way that was really interesting to me. And since we couldn't figure it out, I'm just assuming that, because I have heard that they're trying to make a sequel, and they haven't been talking to me, so I assume the Smecker character is out, and they're just approaching it another way, which might work very well because, there's enough other things happening in that story that I can imagine there's a movie there. There's a story there. So I feel mixed about it. If the circumstances were right, yeah, I would have done a sequel. But at the moment that Troy talked to me some years ago, I think it wasn't ready. And now that I hear them making a sequel again, I haven't heard anything. So,
well, listen,
I wish them luck.
Will you take a phone call? We've got a phone call coming in. Ask you a question.
Okay.
All right, you're on with Willem Dafoe, Animorph.
Hey, it's Silver Wakeboarder. What's going on?
Hi, Silver Wakeboarder. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, it's so cool to talk to Willem Dafoe. What a great actor.
Okay.
I was going through your IMDb page, and out of the 70 films you have listed, I got about maybe 53 of them I've seen.
Oh, God bless you.
Yeah. So
you can put that addition on the house now.
One of your mortgage payments.
Yeah.
What's that?
So I wanted to ask you about a couple of films, if that's okay.
Sure. You're breaking up a little bit, but I'll try to listen real hard. Go ahead.
Okay. So there's about 5 of them that I think are completely underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Streets of Fire, Live and Die in L.A., Triumph of the Spirit, White Sands, White Sleeper. Those things are great. But one of the films that I think you did such a great job in, you just had total creepiness and desperation with the film Autofocus.
Oh, okay.
Can you tell me, those are all... the kind of research you did? Can you tell me the kind of research you did to play John Carpenter?
I mostly, just for people that may not know the movie, because it wasn't a widely seen movie, it was about Bob Crane and a friend of his. Well, oh God, I don't know how to set this up. But basically, for Autofocus, I didn't do a lot of research. It was based on true events, so I certainly researched that. I did talk to people that knew this real-life guy, John Carpenter, not the film director, but a good friend of Bob Crane that was tried for his murder and acquitted. So, yeah, I mostly dealt with the real-life stuff on it, and other than that, it was just good old-fashioned pretending, I guess.
Yeah. When it came to homemade sex tapes,
which sounds like. Say that again.
When it came to homemade sex tapes, Bob Crane was definitely a visionary.
That's right. Ahead of his time.
Hey, I can't wait to see Animorph, but I got to get ready and go. I'm catching a movie at the ArcLight. Just what a great job, and keep up the good work, my friend.
All right, thanks.
All right. Well, Willem, I did want to ask you a question. We're going to play the trailer in a second. I wanted to ask you, because somebody asked me the other day, I grew up, my father's a plumber, and you're talking about growing up in Wisconsin. Did you ever see yourself as a kid living in New York, being in films, following your dream, meeting the people that you've met? If someone had grabbed you at 12 and said, this is going to be your life, would you have believed it?
No, because I didn't have, I had no models. I mean, nobody around me was involved in theater or film or music or anything like that, not as a profession. So I didn't have any models, so I couldn't imagine. I knew that was stuff that I enjoyed, and I was performing when I was quite young, but I never saw it as a profession. So, sure, I look back on it sentimentally, and but I knew I wanted to do something. So then I kind of just headed where I thought the action was. So that's why I headed for New York.
Well, we appreciate you.
But I couldn't have envisioned it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think it's a wild trip that we all go on, and you know, I grew up in L.A., but I never went to Beverly Hills. I you know, maybe watched the Beverly Hillbillies, but, you know, I live 10 miles away, but I have no concept of Beverly Hills. And then you're having dinner there one night as an adult, and you say, who am I? What the hell am I doing here? And it's really a wild, a wild ride. So now...
Yeah, but I try not to think about it. I try to be as present as possible and not think about looking backwards or forward.
Yeah, it's easier to. Yeah, I hear you. Now, tell everybody a little bit about the film, as far as your character and the basic rundown of the film, which is Animorph, and where is it going to be seen?
Well, it's good. Right now it's playing in New York, and I don't know the theater, but it's playing in limited release in L.A., I think, May 2nd.
Well, we've got a worldwide audience here.
Pardon?
This is a worldwide audience. Again? Worldwide audience. So.
Oh God, I think that's where it's starting, and then of course it'll fan out from there. It's being distributed by IFC here, and I also know that there's the possibility to get it on demand through some cable companies.
Now, isn't this
which advertise that it's possible?
Okay, yeah. But isn't this IFC?
Which is cool because some places where you're breaking up. Go again.
I apologize. Now, isn't this is produced by IFC? Is this their first feature film production?
It's being distributed by IFC. No, it's not a production. It was a film that was independently made by Kamala Films, and then it got picked up for distribution by IFC.
I see. All right. Well, it's very exciting.
And to make it real simple, right now it's playing in New York, then it'll come to L.A., and where else, I'm not sure yet, because I think it really depends on the response.
Well, give them a general rundown on the movie, though, so they have a feel for what it is and when.
Okay. Yeah. I play a police detective in New York City who is called in to investigate a series of crimes that are eerily familiar. Everything about them feels very much like a series of crimes that he thought he solved 5 years ago. So, of course, that begs the question of, A, whether he really got the guy or whether this is some perverse guy, doing these copycat killings. And the nature of the crimes appear to be very directed, seem to be speaking, almost seem to be communicating to this detective. It's very personal. So what is his paranoia? What is his guilt? What is his just stress in trying to crack this case is all mixed up. And he goes through this very dark journey trying to figure out, what to deal with the ghosts of his past, basically. He's a very haunted figure. And that's where I don't want to, like David Lynch, I don't want to tell you what happens, but that's the basic setup.
You can't. Yeah, that's all you can tell. You can't tell too much. I can't say this without giving anything away. I love the ending of the movie. I love the ending because to me it was a great surprise. And I think you know what I'm talking about, related to you.
This is a good.
Huh?
Huh?
It was a great surprise.
I'm sorry, this is breaking up.
All right. It was a great surprise related to you and your character for me.
Got it. I think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, all right. Now, listen, before I let you go, can you give us a station break and say this something to the effect that this is Willem Dafoe and you're listening to Hollywood Babble-On on Now Live or UE Radio?
Do you run this all the time?
What's that?
Do you run it just for now, or do you run it all the time?
No. We've got, whether it's David Lynch was on the show or Kevin Smith, they come on, and it's just, we play it once in a while.
Okay. Give it to me again.
This is Willem Dafoe,
and you're listening to
Hollywood Babble-On at Now Live.
Yeah.